Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Finding Freedom. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to fight anxiety. Now, many people struggle with anxiety, but as you pursue freedom, as you pursue a business, a career, a relationship, a life, so on and so forth, etc., setting out one for your own when I mention life, right? Let's say you used to have an old profession and now you're trying to go into a new one, and you're trying to either be an entrepreneur and all these things. You're going to have a lot of weight. Now, what happens if you have a family on top of it? You have more pressures, and this builds up anxiety. What is anxiety? Well, it's the worrying of so many things, but it's also the buildup of a lot of energy. Let's face it, when you didn't have kids and you only had to focus on one thing, such as, let's say, when you were in college, right, and you're in school and you only have to focus on school, you don't have to worry about building a business, taxes, marketing, sales, so on and so forth, or having children, and then what time they got to go to school, when you have to meet at the meeting, do they have lunch, are they healthy, so on and so forth. Your energy and your focus was able to go into one place. Now, the reason why anxiety builds up, well, it's like energy, right? You go to the gym, and if you are, let's say, into things like CrossFit and things like that, where there's a lot of high intensity workouts, right? Because it includes cardio and weightlifting, you realize that on the days that you don't work out, you have more energy, right? It's like going back from doing all these things as an entrepreneur and then just going into one solid job where you play one position. Whereas in the entrepreneurial world, you play multiple positions, right? So how do we fight anxiety on our pursuit of freedom, right? On our pursuit to happiness, to joy, so on and so forth? Well, I always tell everybody to normally start your day, or at least midway throughout your day, right? Maybe around 10, 12, 11 o'clock or so, when you're a little bit more woken up, or you have, your morning routine, or you got everything in the morning that you need to take care of, taken care of, go to the gym. See, what happens is a lot of people neglect the gym. Why? Well, some people don't want to lift weights, some people don't want to run, some people don't want to do anything. So what happens is all these processed foods and sugars and everything else stay in your system, and you have all this energy, these calories that are just there, which gives your brain access to, well, more resources to pull from, and it starts going all over the place. What about this, and what about that, and what about this, and what about that, and so on and so forth. And your anxiety gets triggered. When you deplete that, your brain is only focused on one or two things because you're able to control it more because it has limited resources. So I had a friend, his wife actually has anxiety, really bad, so on and so forth. And I told him, why don't you try doing some of these things? And I'm going to share that with you right now. So they're entrepreneurs, they're building a life, they have kids, so on and so forth, etc. But they say they tried everything. And as Tony Robbins will like to say, they tried everything but what fucking works, right? So I want you guys to try this as well for yourself, right? Do your morning routine, get the lunch ready, get the breakfast ready, get your cup of coffee, journal if you have to. Then later on, make it to the gym. I want you to go onto the treadmill for about 10 to 15 minutes and try to run at a decent pace. What is a decent pace? Well, some treadmills have numerical values that go from 0 all the way up to like 12 or 15. Try to do like a nice jog, like around a 6 or a 7. Try to push yourself and put it on a 1% incline. What this is going to do is it's going to force your body to burn more energy because you're running on an incline, not flat ground, if you're used to running, that is, increasing the intensity of the workout, right? Not only that, it's going to start getting your blood moving and bringing your heart rate up. Now, you don't always have to maintain the pace, but go as long as you can, then go to a walk, and then go back to a run, doing intervals, right? For about 10 to 15 minutes. Then from there, you're going to lift weights, preferably squats, lunges, leg press, or something of the sort, because let's face it, the legs are the largest muscle group of the body. And if you're using the largest muscle group of the body, i.e. your legs, and you're using them because you just did cardio, now you're lifting weights, you're burning more calories, right? When you burn more calories and you deplete that energy supply. It also trains your body's mitochondrion to create things like ATP, so on and so forth, etc. Right? Maybe you used to work out and you don't anymore, and you've become lackadaisical, and you realize, I have all this anxiety, I don't know what to do with this energy. Here's a method, right? Go to the gym, do some cardio, 10 to 15 minutes. You could do this as a couple or individually, right? Then go lift weights, doing leg exercises, right? That's day one. And then so on and so forth, right? So on day one, cardio, 10 to 15 minutes on the treadmill. Go as far as you can. If you can make it the whole 15 minutes, straight running, so be it. If you can only do like maybe 4 or 5 minutes of running and then a couple minutes of walking to recover and then run again, so on and so forth, until you hit that 10 to 15 minutes, perfect. Then go do squats, lunges, and everything else. You want to do at least 3 types of workouts, so on and so forth. And when I say 3 different types of workouts, I mean squats, lunges, deadlifts, etc. Remember, hitting the largest muscle groups of the body. Now, once you're done with that, you're going to go back on the treadmill for another 10 minutes, doing intervals between running and walking. This will force your body to now push through what feels like you're carrying sandbags on your legs because you just exhausted the muscles in both facets. Now you're training it to do more. Now that you're exhausted from all of that, go take a nice shower, whether it's warm or you could take a cold shower. I would say take a warm shower, get that sweat off your body. It feels super awesome too. I love, going to the shower after, I work out because I'm super sweaty. I feel extremely clean and cleansed after that. Plus, you get to burn off all the stuff that you ate the night before that you didn't burn off during your fasting time of sleeping, so on and so forth, making sure that everything is moving correctly. Because let's face it, when you do cardio, when you lift weights, it not only speeds up your heart rate, trains your mitochondrion, but it increases the rate at which your metabolism moves and processes foods such as hamburgers, ice cream, whatever the case may be, and it gets it out of your system quicker. Then from there, maybe twice a week you do that. On the other 2 days, because you want to work out at least 4 times a week. Some people say 3. That's if you're going really hard on a full body. But I want to say 4 times a week to give yourself ample time, at least 72 hours to rest, right? So let's say the other 2 days you have upper body, right? You want to hit your back muscles, along with incorporating that 10 to 15 minutes on the treadmill before you do so, and then ending with at least 10 minutes on the treadmill, whether it's a full run or a interval sprint. Then on your third day, you could hit your chest muscles, your auxiliary muscles, such as your shoulders, your biceps, your triceps, your calves, so on and so forth, etc. On your off days, you can go for a walk, but I almost guarantee that you're going to be so exhausted from the workouts that you will just want to recover. Now, most people will go to the gym and they'll do just enough to get by. What happens is that the brain, once it hits a certain percentage, right? Let's say about 30 to 40% output, it starts to tell you that you've done enough. I want you to force your body to go further, not injuring yourself, but to go further than what you're normally able to do. This will not only get rid of all the processed foods and make you sweat out all the toxins and everything else, but it'll put you in a more relaxed state. What is the purpose of the relaxed state? Well, your body's trying to recover. It reduces the amount of anxiety that you have because the brain has something else to focus on, which leaves room for about 1 or 2 other tasks that you can focus on, such as, well, your business and everything else that you have to get done throughout the rest of the day. Now, what's it called? It says, in certain medical books, you should stay away from things like caffeine and things like that. Yes, this is very true, especially if you're not putting the fitness aspect into your life, because if you have anxiety and then you go have, even if it's black tea or green tea, it still has caffeine in it, you're going to exacerbate the anxiety within your body because you're giving your brain the fuel in order to go into overdrive. Go ahead and do the workouts first, and then if you want to have tea later, go ahead and do that, because tea will hydrate you and give you just enough caffeine to get through the rest of the day. But if you pushed yourself in the gym like you should have, let's say every time you go into the gym, you lift about 135 on squats, you do curls, maybe you do about 20 pounds, so on and so forth. You want to go up in about 5 to 10 pound increments, right? So let's say one set, or for 2 sets, you're doing 135. Well, then after that, go to 155, right? Exert your body, right? Not only is this good for your health, your brain, and everything else, it'll also force you to, well, stay in a relaxed state. And of course, the days that you don't work out, you'll have more energy. So if you do this about 3 to 4 times during the week, Monday through Friday, right? Ending with Friday being a relaxed day and Saturday and Sunday being the weekend, if you have kids, so on and so forth, or if you have conferences and things like that, you will have the energy to get up and go do what you need to do and get the job done. And since your body is always recovering, or at least always, looking out to conserve energy, it will slowly start to reduce the anxiety output that comes along with everything. Now, on those off days, I would strongly suggest that you stay away from things like espresso and stuff like that, because it's just going to exacerbate certain things. But you could have a simple cup of coffee. Why a simple cup of coffee versus an espresso? Well, an espresso has more caffeine and it's more potent than a simple cup of coffee. Still has the flavor if you're a coffee lover, but it has less caffeine. Or you could go with black tea. Preferably, I like to drink Earl Grey with a splash of milk and some vanilla syrup, so on and so forth, making a London fog. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Anyways, call me bougie. I don't care. I like my London fog. Leave me alone. But these are the things that you can incorporate into your life while you're on your pursuit to freedom. Now, what I want you to focus on is pushing yourself in the gym. Don't just go through the motions. If you always go in there and lift the same amount of weight, so on and so forth, that's like waking up in the morning and doing your morning routine. Your body's already used to it. What you want to do is push your body, so on and so forth, maintaining the same calorie input, right? Because your body stores glucose, it stores fat, carbohydrates, and everything like that, right? We can learn from nature. Bears eat a lot before winter, and then they hibernate for a long amount of time, utilizing what's in their body. What the treadmill and lifting weights in that combination will do is it'll get your body to be more efficient with the energy that you put into it, making you not only a more efficient person, but a more free person to choose what you want to do in your life, instead of letting your brain drive you crazy and you don't know what to do and you're out of control in your life. Grab control of your life. Bring health back into it. Drink a lot of water. And don't forget, I'll see you guys on the next video, and that I love you. Take care. Mwah. God bless. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.